Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about Dune 2021, this incredible Timothée Chalamet Zendaya film by Denis Villeneuve, and define what we need to understand about ourselves as dungeon masters from this film. So, just to be clear, the reason why we're going down this road is Frank Herbert, who wrote Dune, is he was a contemporary of Gary Gygax, and Gary Gygax was a contemporary of Frank Herbert, and they were both completely aware of each other's work. Now, as we go forward, I want to make it super clear. Dune was written in 1965. Dungeons and Dragons comes out in 1974. But I think that what Frank Herbert was throwing down in 1965 is completely relevant to dungeon masters today in 2024, because these two men were trying to understand the world and were writing about the world, and were really going in the same direction we're going in the same direction as far as what they were trying to accomplish, right? Which was what is any true creator trying to accomplish? I think they're trying to accomplish saying something with courage, sagacity, and relevance. I've been involved in communication recently, and I'm like, you're taking time, Scott, to talk to people who don't have courage, sagacity, or relevance. Why are you wasting your time with this conversation? So I think this is critical as we move forward. We really want to make sure we're communicating with people with courage, sagacity, and relevance. And if they don't have any, if they're missing even one of those, I don't know if they're worth communicating with. So basically, Frank Herbert was communicating with courage, sagacity, and relevance. And then Gary Gygax came along and was communicating with courage, sagacity, and relevance, right? So this is what I need you to understand today. You are a dungeon master. You are a Bene Gesserit. We are the wizards of this world. And we need to start understanding our own power. And what is part of the power of being a Bene Gesserit? We can speak with the voice. We need to understand we have the ability to speak with the voice. And why is this important? Well, if you watch Dune 2021, there's a scene where Paul Atreides, played by Timothée Chalamet, speaks to his mother, right? And his mother's played by Rebecca Ferguson. And he says, "Get off of me," and he says it in the voice, right? He uses the voice, but he's emotional, and he ends up using the voice when he doesn't intend to, right? He's reacting, right? So we need to understand who and what we are. And I'm telling you right now, if you're a dungeon master, you absolutely have the ability to change this world at a infrastructure level. And no one else around you does, right? Because the reality is, Dungeon Master is a filter. It is the best filter ever built for humanity's charismatic, confident, and intelligent. You cannot be a Dungeon Master if you're missing even a single one of those, right? If you don't have charisma, people will leave your table. If you don't have confidence, there's no way you're going to do what essentially is public speaking for 2 hours per session, right? If you don't have intelligence, you can't read 750 pages of books just as the ante to start playing Dungeons and Dragons, right? It is the most powerful filter anyone has ever built to quickly find and put into position humanity's most charismatic, confident, intelligent people. That's me. That's you. Okay? All right. So let's talk about being the Bene Gesserit. So we are a wizard. And if we don't know what we can do, it can be dangerous. Exactly like when Paul Atreides shouts to his mother, "Get off of me." She's hugging him. She's trying to comfort him. He shouts in the voice, and she has to comply, right? Because that's what the voice is, right? And I think we need to understand that we can speak in the voice. You're just like, "Scott, what are you talking about? Nobody listens to me." No, you are absolutely wrong. When you sit down at the actual real Gary Gygax Dungeons and Dragons table, That is a level of listening that is unheard of today anymore. I'm a huge fan of Fortnite. I play Fortnite all the time, right? And I have turned off this channel where literally 100 people drop in and there will be no less than 5, 10, 15 people talking on their mics, right? And long time ago, I just turned it off and no longer listened, you know, to the channel, right? Because no one there had any courage, sagacity, or relevance, right? And that's the world, right? Like but I'm playing with these people and they're talking, but I can't hear them, right? And the reason, and that is analogy for everything that's happening in life. You're in a room with people, you're doing things with people, right? I'm fighting with them, you know, in Fortnite. I'm, you know, running around with my, you know, SMG and, you know, like I'm doing something with them, but there's no communication. I'm not listening to them, right? They are listening to me. I'm choosing not to talk, right? And actually, I've cut off my mic. There's no communication back and forth. And that is the vast majority of time in this world. People, you know, there are people in front of you, blah, 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 words come out of their mouth, blah, blah, blah. But you're like, this person doesn't have any courage, sagacity, or relevance. I'm not listening to this. And they're not listening to you. But that changes when we sit down at the Dungeon Master table. It's exactly like the theater, the American cinema. The American cinema is important because I go to the movies all the time now, right? Because I watched Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning, right? I went to the theaters and I watched it and gave it all my attention and all my respect. Then it watched on Paramount Plus, and I watched it on the toilet. I watched 10 minutes of it on the toilet, and I watched 10 minutes of it while I was just walking to my car, and I watched 10 minutes of it at some other, you know, ignoble place. But when we sit down at the real table with real people, with real books, $150 to $300 of material for each person at the table, there is focus, time, and attention. And they're saying, every word that comes out of your mouth, I will hear it. And if it's spoken in the voice, I will comply. And we have to be aware of this. That's what's happening at the Dungeons and Dragons table is not happening anywhere anymore. Anywhere. No one is listening to anyone. But we make this space. And we say, if you're not charismatic, confident, and intelligent, don't pull up a chair. If you haven't spent $150 on the book, $180 on the books, if you haven't spent $220 on your dice tray, right? If you haven't spent $100 on the C22, don't even pull up a chair. You're all in or you're nothing. And when you get that real table with the Dungeon Master pulling up, the Dungeon Performer 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 pulling up, $300 to $500 sitting of tangibles at each placement, everyone is listening. And you better know, as a Dungeon Master, that you have the voice. You better know it. You better know that every ear is tuned to you. And you better know if you are speaking with your regular voice or if you are speaking with your Bene Gesserit voice. Because if you don't, you can do something dangerous. In my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.